Hey, this is Chris from Rekkid Talk. So today I'm jumping on a thread started by Richard at the calvinwazoo channel about Pride Month for the LGBTQ community and to talk about some musicians that are represented as part of LGBTQ. And so I'll kind of preface it that I'm not personally a member of that community, so I'm I'm always trying to make sure that I'm not accidentally disrespectful or tried about something, but I will participate. So we've got the first one I'm going to show. So this is Jethro Tull Benefit. If you're wondering what the connection here is, so D. Palmer, who at the time was going by the name David Palmer, was somebody who did arrangements on several of the early Jethro Tull albums, including the Benefit album that I'm showing right now. D came out as a transgendered intersex individual in 1998. Um, um, was also the keyboard player, I think, in the late 70s, early 80s for Jethro Tull. I know it's kind of hard to keep track of who, besides Ian Anderson, was in the band at whatever periods, but Dee Palmer was a part of the Jethro Tull story. The second one I'm going to mention, so Richard mentioned this in his video. He didn't show it because he doesn't have an album, but I do have a Judas Priest album. This is Sad Wings of Destiny. This was a Record Store Day reissue from a year or two ago. So it's double disc, 45 RPM. This is one of those records that every time I play it, I always forget that it's a 45. Um, of course, that's not the real story here. As we know, Rob Halford, the lead singer of Judas Priest, sort of that iconic biker metal look, did eventually come out as being gay. And I'll admit that as a heterosexual small town white guy in the 1980s, we would have all been shocked at that period of time if we had known that Rob Halford was gay. We certainly would have believed it about Freddie Mercury and Elton John, but not Rob Halford because he's in a metal band, which shows how little we knew at the time. So, third one I'm going to show, this will be the most obscure of what I'm going to show. This is going to be a CD rather than an album. And so this is a compilation that was made in probably the mid-1990s by the indie label Kill Rock Stars, which is based in Olympia, Washington. So this is called Some Songs from the Kill Rock Stars singles. So this is a compilation of some stuff that had appeared on 7-inch, various 7 inches. And to my knowledge, at least 3 of the bands here are part of the LGBTQ community. There actually could be more. And so I'll talk about them. Let's see if I can find the right. Okay, so the first one that I'm going to focus on down there in the lower left hand is Frank. So Frank is the name that Susan Gottlieb goes under. Came up in the LA punk scene in the late 70s. Transitioned to more of a folk style. Self-described all-American Jewish lesbian folk singer. Had some albums that got a bit of attention in the 80s and 1990s. It's sort of thought of as an originator of the queercore genre by some of the other bands from that genre. This particular one, Hillary's Eyebrows, which I think was the B-side of a single that was on an album she did, is what appears on this particular compilation. One of the bands that kind of saw Frank as sort of one of their forefathers is, so now you're going to look in the upper right-hand corner, Team Dresch. And I know that that's just too small and it's not focusing well enough on my camera to see. Team Dresch, the song on here is called Hand Grenade. So Team Dresch is a Portland, Oregon-based queercore band, all female. Donna Dresch is the leader of the band. That's where the name Team Dresch comes from. I think they had broken up, but they have gotten back together, and they're still around making music. And then the last of the three that I'm going to talk about from this one is Mukilteo Fairies. And the song that appears on here is called Four Letter Love. So Mukilteo, Mukilteo is a town north of Seattle. And so the band is called Fairies, Fairies, you know, sort of a common name associated with gay men. And the whole name of this queercore band, that's sort of a grindcore style, is a pun because the ferry from Mukilteo to Whidbey is where the ferry to Whidbey Island leaves from. So there's sort of that pun with the word ferry, a ferry ship, or describing a person as a ferry. And the leader of that band, Joshua Plogue, I Googled him to see what was up with him, if anything. And apparently he's now a vegan chef, but does music on the side, has a band camp. So the band is called Select Sex. Their record is called Pleasure Slabs, and they're self-described as thrashy, spazzy, hardcore punk made in the finest DIY tradition. So if you're looking for something to check out in Bandcamp, maybe you want to check out Select Sex, if that sounds interesting to you. And let me go through a couple more. So we'll go back to vinyl. So Brandi Carlile, sort of thought of as kind of an Americana singer. This is her album, The Firewatcher's Daughter. And so she is openly lesbian, so there's Brandi Carlile. And then the final one I'm going to bring up today is Brittany Howard, she's now a solo artist, but she was in this great sort of soulful rock band, Alabama Shakes. So this is their album called Poison Girls. I got it on the limited edition multicolor vinyl. So the vinyl is blue and pink. I know it looks mostly, okay, let me show you. This side has more pink on it than the other side, so you can see more. There's some blue and some pink going on. So Alabama Shakes. Brittany Howard is also openly gay, and of course she has a white mother and an African American father, and so she has both the racial and the gay issue to deal with from certain members of the public. So those are the ones I'm going to show for this thread. So thanks for bringing this up, Richard. I know Nick Rudow did a video on this as well. So talk to you next time.